parties and stuff. The family
We're
of
on.
the Bronx.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk to him later and talk.
Go ahead, D. We on.
Wow. A lot of fun in the Bronx, boy.
Yeah.
Negative, nothing further. Just take Cabby on the corner. That's a direct order. Do it now.
We got a delay.
I don't know what's going on, but that didn't come through that great, D. It must be your location this week. Hey, but listen, we're roll call. Today is Thursday, May 29th, 2025. We're roll call, Black, White, and Blue for Better Relations. I'm here with a few of my friends. I got D with us, Ty with us, AC, Mark, Will, Rich, Melba, Cheech, and Jim are with us. And we got a show planned out for you guys today. But before we get started, we're going to start with our intro and moment of silence. All right, thank you so much, D. Thank you so much. We're gonna move into our disclaimer by Cheech and our statement of purpose from Melba.
Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Before we get started, we wanted to go over a couple of things. First and foremost, want to let you know that the comments made by members of Roll Call are the opinions of each individual. They are not intended to be legal advice or recommendations. Please consult your local police department or local attorney for any recommendations. Remember that the laws change from village to village, city to city, state to state. So consult with your local department or an attorney. Also, in order to spark our conversations and discussions, we do display videos, some of which can be graphic in nature. They are not intended to offend anybody. We get these videos from social media, so they are not the property of Roll Call. We get them from YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. So a member will let you know ahead of time if one of these videos is graphic or any photography that we may use. So please do not take any offense to it. Also, the language used by some of our members is very spontaneous. It's uncensored. None of us hold back. We speak our truth. So please do not take offense to it. We do not. You will see that sometimes we do not agree on some things, but we never take it personal. And we hope you don't either. And please feel free to send in questions, and we will try to stay on top of them and answer them. Thank you. Melba?
You're on mute, Melba.
Sorry. So you guys know we're roll call Black, White, and Blue for better relations. We have 4 basic tenets. 1, we are pro law enforcement. We do believe in the need for law enforcement. We are anti-racism. We believe in equitable policing. And the 4th most important one is that we do maintain and believe that Black lives do matter. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Cheech. Thank you, Melba. Before I go forward, let's just remember that this past Sunday, May 25th, was the anniversary of the murder of George Floyd, which is one of the reasons why we are even here today. We've been around, listen, and I might as well say that because next week will be our 5th anniversary. Next week, Wednesday, which is June, what's that? Is that June 4th? Yeah, June, my anniversary, June 4th. Okay. We'll remember that. We want to remember Will and his wife Shalithia again, who celebrate the anniversary. I know I did it last week, but it was still on my mind. Jim and Joan celebrating their anniversary today. Right? Today, celebrating the anniversary. A little bit early, but next week, Tyrone Green will be celebrating his 50th birthday all over again on June 5th. He'll be celebrating his birthday. And then, and the day before that, Sylvia and I'll be celebrating our 37th wedding anniversary. June 4th of next week. We're praying for Jamel and Sharon, Melba Blocker. We're praying for her. We're praying for Isabel. Praying for JT and his wife, Orlando. We're also praying for Rich brother-in-law we just heard today who had a massive heart attack on yesterday, but we're praying for him. We're also congratulating AC on 15 years, which was yesterday, AC?
Yes.
15 years retirement from the police department. Mark, we're celebrating his retirement on tomorrow, Mark? How many years?
6.
6 years retirement tomorrow. And mine is coming up. Mine is actually July 16th would be 19 years that I've been retired. But I have it on here June 6th because June 6, 06, 666 was the date that I was called to pastor the church I belong to right now. So 6606, all those sixes. But thank God for that.
Sorry, I stand corrected. 7 years.
7
I was
years.
gonna say, I'm like, it'll be 6 years for me. So
Yeah.
I don't think I remember it being longer than that from you.
I'm gonna
counted.
AC, do you mind taking over for me for a second? There's someone's at my house that I have to go and take care of real fast.
It's ice. Don't go out the door. Just use your ring, Cameron.
Yeah, okay. I'm going out. I'm going out just like this, Mark.
That being said, okay, let's get it going.
All right.
Thanks. Don got it started. He got all the announcements out the way. So, D, you can show the first video.
All right. Speaking of ICE being at your door, here's an officer-involved traffic arrest, and it led to a Dalton, I believe that's Illinois teen's ICE detention. Let's take a look.
For the first time, we are hearing from the Dalton police officer whose traffic stop led to a 19-year-old staying in ICE custody for 2 weeks. The department says that the officer pulled over the wrong car. 11 Alive's Gilad Malamed joins us from the newsroom with more on the story. What do we know about why this officer resigned?
In his resignation letter, Officer O'Neill says the department is not properly defending him against accusations that stem from that arrest. We did ask to speak to the former officer today. He does not want to do any interviews right now, letting the letter speak for itself. This is the resignation letter Dalton police officer Leslie Allen O'Neill submitted. His wife confirms with 11 Alive News that the letter she posted on Facebook details his reason for leaving. In it, O'Neill says his resignation stems from the department's, quote, inadequate response to and defense against public accusations of false arrest, which arose after a charge from a valid arrest was publicly dropped without explanation. Dalton police say they dropped the charges against Jimena Arias Cristobal after dash camera video showed Officer O'Neill pulled over the wrong truck, stopping Arias Cristobal's dark gray pickup instead of a black one. That arrest led to her being held at an ICE detention facility for 2 weeks.
Being in Stewart changed my life. It's something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. It's the conditions and the unknown. It's not knowing what's going to happen to me. Knowing that I could be sent back to a country that I don't know, having to be torn apart from my family.
The 19-year-old was brought to the U.S. by her family at 4 years old. She does not have a clear legal path to stay here. She was reunited with her family Thursday, including with her father, who was in ICE custody at the same time and was released on bond.
It's great. You know, everybody in my home right now, it's happy. We feel like complete.
The family's story drew widespread attention, with people rallying to support them in Atlanta.
We want justice. You say how? Release Amanda and Jose now.
Officer O'Neill says he has faced widespread defamation that the department has been silent about, saying he could no longer effectively do his job without, quote, fear of further backlash from the community. I asked the city of Dalton's communications director for the department's response. He says that they don't have a comment on the letter at this time.
Officer O'Neill's wife says they're getting a lot of support.
Yeah, she posted that there's been overwhelming community response and other departments have expressed interest in hiring her husband.
All right, we'll keep following. Gilad, thank you so much. As for the
D, we couldn't see that, so Eric, that was a audio, not video for us. D, do you have any other background that can fill us in?
Oh, okay. I was just trying to see what the problem was. Really quick, an officer in Dalton stopped the vehicle. Apparently, there's some discrepancy as to whether that is the vehicle that he was supposed to stop. It was a young lady in it, and he arrested her for a traffic violation, and ended up that she got detained by ICE. If you know, in the sanctuary cities and some non-sanctuary cities, they're involving law enforcement in making arrests and TOTing or referring these cases to ICE. And these people who may or may not have a clear path to citizenship, they're detained. On this particular incident, this young girl was detained, and also her father was detained. So they were actually in custody at the same time. They were both of them seems like they were released, and I think the officer, because he stopped the wrong car, and you know how the internet is, he got a lot of backlash, so he ended up resigning because he said the job wouldn't back him up. That's what I got from the internet here, as far as that's concerned. So that's kind of what went on. And am I right to know you guys didn't see the video?
Yeah, we didn't see it.
Zoom's being funky because okay.
Probably that internet in Sierra Leone.
Anybody have anything they want to talk about, add to that, or extrapolate from that?
Yeah, I'll jump in if nobody raises their hand.
Yeah, Will.
I personal. I have a friends family. About one in particular was brought to this country by his parents at 4 years old. He had no idea that he wasn't even born here. He considers himself American. He doesn't know anything other than America. He didn't find out until he graduated high school and tried to join the military that he could not because he was undocumented. Right now, he is a big member of society. He is a mentor to our youth, goes into the local high schools and mentors youths that are one step away from being involved in gangs or already in gangs. He has started a nonprofit that sets up opportunities for them to play soccer 7 days a week for free. And he's very involved in the community. He sits on boards of different nonprofits. And in July, his TPS runs out. That's a temporary protection status. He has no idea what's going to happen. If that is not renewed, he has to go back to Honduras, a country he's never been to, a country he does not know, a country where the only family he has is very distant that he has never even met. His Spanish is not that great. His English is 100%, yet his Spanish is not very well. He was raised here. So you have a lot of people out there that are in the same circumstances as this girl. You know, these are people that have never committed a crime. They're out good citizens that not get into trouble. And over a simple traffic stop, you end up being out for 2 weeks at 19 years old. You know, that's got to be a very traumatic experience that is going to affect her for a very long time. You know, sitting there not knowing, especially everything you read in the news, of what's the next step? Are you going to be put on a plane and sent somewhere that you don't want to be? You know, no idea. So I feel for them. You know, it's tough. I always said I understand enforcing laws of people that have committed crimes, but when you haven't committed a crime and just being undocumented, to me, is not a crime. That I don't agree with. So I feel for everyone else out there that is in that same position, and now you're going to have situations where people can witness crimes or be victims of crimes that are not going to come forward because of all these fears.
Okay. Thanks for your input. Jim?
Yeah, let's be honest here with this. This is not about immigration. It's never been. I mean, immigration has been a problem in America for many, many, many years. All presidents, since I've been watching presidents, have always had immigration policies and problems with it. It is a serious problem. I don't take that away. But what President Taco is doing here has nothing at all to do with immigration. It is strictly 100% him putting together a strong arm militia called ICE, because ICE isn't the same as it was. ICE now marches to a different tune. And it's strictly to enforce his racist policies. That's it. I'm going to make it real simple. This is not about immigration. It's about racism. It's got rid of all the brown people and get them out now.
Ty?
It's abuse of power in its highest form. To call it anything less than that is really undermining what's going on. To piggyback on what Jim just said is exactly what the plan is. And they're using a sledgehammer to take care of a problem that can be fixed with a baseball bat or a wiffle ball bat. And it's unbelievable what it has come to. It's unreal. That's all I have.
Melba?
What I was going to say is that Jim has said that ICE is not what it was before. And I would argue that it is exactly what it was before underneath Trump's prior administration. And the Biden administration had kind of slowed down on the processes that ICE was using. And it's just come back that much stronger under this new administration as they seek to, through his all these presidential decrees, has given them more, they're more emboldened and they're more empowered to do the types of things that they have been doing. But they tried it. They tried it before. And I remember the sort of things that they were even doing around Hempstead that were kind of like, and they're just that much more unrestricted now.
Okay. Well,
the point that comes to mind for me with this is listening to the report, the minor traffic violation for which this young lady was charged has been dismissed. And my understanding, if I heard it correctly, it got dismissed because they looked at the body cam footage and realized that he had stopped the wrong vehicle. So if I'm our audience out there listening, or if I'm someone that's had a perception or experience of law enforcement, the thing that would come to my mind is, well, if they could determine that he had stopped the wrong car, why could he not have determined that he stopped the wrong car when he was the one that actually observed and was the charging officer of the violation? Obviously, you're talking about a black vehicle versus a dark gray vehicle. I didn't catch what time of day it was, whether or not it was night, but in order for him to get those vehicles mixed up, my feeling is that he must have lost sight of the original target vehicle and saw another vehicle that closely matched and just said, oh, that must be my vehicle. In that situation, it's kind of like fishing. That's got to be the one that got away, because what happened now is it has become an even greater connection between federal law enforcement doing a work that is not very well received, that is got a huge bias component to it. And now this officer, the appearance is that he's complicit in this and knew or should have known that that wasn't the vehicle that he observed with the violation, but he went ahead and charged this lady as if it was and got her in trouble with ICE. It's just a bad look. And, you know, I'm looking at the comments in from our listeners, and Marcus has said abuse of power and PDs are complicit. I can understand how he would arrive at that conclusion in this situation, but I would encourage everyone, look at each situation individually, and then look for links within an organization rather than broad stroking the entire profession.
Okay. Mark?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to give a different perspective, and my perspective is going to be drawn back into the bigger picture. We have a president that wants to use law enforcement and the military against its civilians. And law enforcement and military have a duty to uphold what they swear to. And they got to remember that. And they can't be used as a tool. They shouldn't allow themselves to be used as a tool for his political folly. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you. Kyle, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to say a couple of things, and I agree with Jim and Tyrone, with all of you, Tyrone, Will, all of you, really, about this. I think what's so repugnant to most people is the absence of due process and the fact that they are just sweeping people off the street without allowing them any access to any process that would speak to their individuality. You know, how they got here, how long they've been here, the circumstances under which they've been here. I've heard this through many different sources that President Obama deported more individuals than any other president. And what's significant there, I think, is that it was done through due process. It was done through our judicial system, our administrative, our justices, and using the immigration laws that are on the books, that with respect to asylum and all the other reasons and conditions under which someone could stay here legally. And they did that, and they still deported a lot of people who should have been deported or needed to be deported or didn't meet those criteria. So I think, you know, what's happening now to most people watching is that, okay, we recognize there is an immigration problem. We recognize Congress has failed to legislate and to create an atmosphere and put in place laws and regulations that would really solve all these problems. That's where the answer is, right there in Congress, but they're refusing to do it. So allowing this president to just do what he wants to do without any kind of due process is what sort of smacks everybody across the face. Like, we can't, this is not our law. This is not what we do. This is not how it should be done. And innocents and people that should be afforded the opportunity to state their case are being denied that. And that's what's, I think most people were looking at all of these instances to saying, well, this person should be exempt and this person should be exempt and this person doesn't meet that criteria and this person has no criminal record. And what is it that we're doing? And the children that were brought here as infants and being deported. There was a story, and then I'll shut it down, in the paper this week in Newsday about 2 teenagers who were just, I don't know if you all spoke to that or not, swept up and deported back to a country, the place they don't even know anything about. They left there as really young children, and now here they're thrown back into it with no family ties there, no way of making a living. They're just sort of thrown away. And so that's, to me, I think what's lacking is the due process, the hearing of these cases, and understanding, even within the flimsy laws that we have, and they're on the books still, that we're not even adhering to that. We're not even paying any attention to that. And that's what's so, I think most people are shaking their heads at the fact that there's no process in place.
Yeah. Thank you. D?
All right, 2 things I wanted to say really quick, and I'm going to be really fast. What I think the problem is in the police department is people don't want to say they made a mistake. I think that's the biggest thing. I remember when I was working, and we had a word we used, I off that up. That sometimes, the end of the day, I tried to do my best and I messed it up. This seems as a case of that, especially with the police officer. And I think if more officers wish us to say I made a mistake, and then we right the wrong, there's a part in the CPL that allows you to do that. All of us have read the CPL, and those of you watching, there's a book that dictates our conduct, and there's a section, I'm going to quote it, from 130.20 that allows you to fix anything you did wrong if you make a mistake. But what happens is we make a mistake, and then we double down, and then we triple down, and then we say, oh, it wasn't me, and then we point fingers at somebody else. And that's why people look at police departments the way they look at police departments. Having said that, the second thing I wanted to say is the conduct in police department is indicative of our larger society. I love people that love to point fingers, right? You used to do the thing, you point fingers, 3 or 4 pointed back at you. Whatever's going on in the police department is happening in larger society. A great deal of people that live here next door to us voted for this guy, put him in office, said this is what they want. These are the things they want to happen. And we seem shocked that he said, I'm going to do it. This is what he's doing. And we're all shocked. I don't know how we can be shocked. And I think what gives me some pause sometimes is when these things are happening and these people are being sent back. Didn't we know that was going to happen? Where are we clutching the pearls? Oh my God, I can't believe he's sending people back to their country. Well, he said he was going to do it. That was his platform he ran on. That's what you voted for. So we can't be so upset with the situation without being upset at the cause and taking the responsibility for putting this idiot where we put him. And then we're gonna complain about his idiocy. Oh, how dare he? How dare he what? Do what he said he's gonna do? You put him there, that's what he's doing. So I think we need to take a pause. We want to point fingers, and I looked at some of the comments myself, and police departments want to blame everything on the police departments. That's fine. We all got big shoulders. Blame us. That's all right. That's fine. But understand where the people in the police department come from. They're your brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, fathers and mothers. It's just us. And we have to decide amongst ourselves how we're going to, as people, forget police, forget the rules and regulations. We got to decide ourselves how we're going to do business. And if we're going to do business this way, this is what's going to happen. We got an idiot in office. He's sending people back. They're going to piggyback on what we do as police officers to send people back. If that's what you want to do, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why we are going to be so upset for people doing what they said they're going to do. We're shocked. I'm just saying that's what you wanted. And when I say you, our society as a whole, 51%, let's just say, that's what you wanted. We can't be shocked when your family is shipped back to El Salvador and you'll never be seen again. You can't be shocked. That's what you wanted. And I'm done.
Thanks. I have two things that we didn't bring up on this. I hate to stay on the subject too long, but we didn't talk about the police officer who can't work in the community anymore because the community doesn't like him. That's one. And two, we didn't talk, since we're talking about sending people back and no avenue or no pathway to citizenship, we didn't talk about the new Africana Americans. The ones from South Africa?
Yeah.
So if they can make a way for people from South Africa to become Americans, the new Africana Americans, I'm sure they can find a way for other people to become American also. Anyway, that's just my little two cents.
But he already stated he didn't want people from shithole
countries.
Oh.
Only Norway was okay.
Well, South Africa is kind of not Norway.
Only
South Africa would
he
have
was
been
only it was only extended to white South Africans.
South African would have been a shithole country for him if the color would have been different.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole region, not a country. Anyway, Cheech, I'm sorry, not William.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that to go through the proper legal process to come to this country legally, it takes up to 10 years. It's a very lengthy process that you sit in your home country waiting to get approved. Yet, like you're saying, South Africa, overnight.
Okay, I'm gonna leave that South Africa alone. Yes, Jim.
Which what Cheech just said is accurate, and what we said originally, that's what has to be fixed. And I think we'd all agree. I think everybody in the country would agree. That's the immigration problem that needs to be fixed. It shouldn't take 10 years for somebody going through the proper channels to get into America. And I mean, why would you wonder why people jump over a fence to get in or swim across a dangerous river to get in? They don't have 10 years to wait, or the money that it takes in those 10 years. So there's a problem, and yes, there's a solution out there if Congress would get together instead of fighting all the time and make it work. Obviously, the solution that we have sitting in the White House now is not the solution.
So if we get the Congress, the Senate, and the President on one accord, they can get the laws written and come through, and everything be taken care of.
Yeah, they could legislate right now. He controls the House. He controls the Senate. He's got the White House. They could legislate. They don't want to legislate. They don't want those bills where people have to stand up and say yay or nay, and sort of tell on themselves where they stand on these issues. But that the answer to all these executive orders is, look, why aren't you legislating?
Yeah, Ty?
He has no idea what you're talking about, Kyle. That's why. He has no idea what legislation is in proper order. He knows, oh, wow, I got this pen and this big black book. If I sign this, this will happen. He's a freaking child. He's a child. As simple as that.
All right, I'm not gonna let you keep talking about children like that.
He's
D.
learned. He's learned how to manipulate the system. He has really done a very good job at it. All the politicians, the spineless politicians, and the majority are spineless. Spineless meaning that they're afraid of losing their seat if they cross the boss. He's learned how to do that, manipulate it well. So Congress certainly, they have the power. They own both houses and the presidency and the Supreme Court. They've got it all. But they don't want to do that because, as Kyle said, they expose themselves as to being too woke or too liberal or too whatever. And they don't want to tick off the boss, because if they do that, they will lose their seat. So it's a real terrible round robin here that we're going through. And all I could say is that this entire administration and all of its tenets have to go. And then maybe, just maybe, there'll be a chance. I mean, Obama, was it Obama? I think Obama, when he first came in, had both houses and the Supreme Court, and he couldn't even get legislation passed, comprehensive immigration passed. So,
okay, I got Cheech, Rich, and then D will cover the next video.
Yeah, I wanted to address something from the chat. Marcus Diggs, I guess, was telling me, he said, not true. Doesn't take 10 years for a work visa or a student visa. You are correct as far as a student visa and a work visa. A student visa, they're coming to study, and once they're done, they have to go back. A work visa, you have to be sponsored by a company or corporation to come work, and as soon as that visa is over, you leave. And that can last a couple of months or years, depending on the job. And the company that is sponsoring you has to prove that they can't find any other people to do the job that's being asked of. That's why that will be done in a shorter period. What I was talking about was coming here to become a permanent resident, a permanent legal resident. That takes 10 years. I'm speaking from personal experience, being Salvadorian and having more than 50% of my family having to go through that.
Rich?
Yeah. You know what? I'm so disgusted with my country at this point. I've always been patriotic. I've served my country. And it's horrible to see what it's become with this criminal in office. I mean, it's just so blatantly racist. It's so blatantly cruel. It's upsetting and it's frustrating, because the Republican-led Congress is supposed to be a check, but they're not doing their job. They ceded their power to this lunatic, criminal lunatic. He's crass. I mean, it's just, we all know how bad he is, but he's allowed to fester there. And it looks like we're going to have to wait until the midterms, and hopefully people will get, keep them some sense about them and vote the Republicans out, because they're not doing their job. They're not getting anything done. All you got is executive orders from Trump doing whatever the hell he wants to do. This new bill he's got called the Big Beautiful Bill is trash. And he's got so much stuff stuffed in there that's taking away rights from people, taking away benefits. That's Project 2025 in this bill. This bill should not be allowed to go through as it is. They got to cut stuff out of it that's ridiculous. But he keeps throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks, what he can get away with. I mean, who ever heard of a president going off duty to do Bitcoin, his meme coin, and have a dinner, $1 million plate dinners? Who's ever heard of that? You're a president.
Selling tours of the White House.
Yeah,
Selling tours of the White House.
It's beyond that. The tours, it's just, what he's doing is so criminal. It's beyond belief, and nobody's stopping him but the judicial. You got to wait till you go to court. Like McConnell said. McConnell said, he hasn't gotten away with it yet when he talked about January 6th. We still have the courts. Well, the courts can only do but so much, especially if you're disobeying the court orders. What are you doing with him? I mean, technically, he could be arrested right now. He's already committed impeachable acts. But are they going to arrest him? No. Are they going to remove him? No. So we're going to have to wait till the midterms, unfortunately. And hopefully, if the Democrats can take over the House and the Senate, he'll be impeached. That's all I got.
Mark, is your comment related to this or the next video?
No, this just real quick to Rich. Isn't this the same guy that was selling sneakers and Bibles?
Yeah.
So are we really surprised?
No, we're not surprised. He's signing Bibles and flags. Who does that?
No, you're right.
A malignant narcissist. That's what he is. And if you look up a malignant narcissist, it tells you exactly what he is and why he's the way he is. And right now, I think his mental faculties are going. I mean, he's a lunatic anyway, but I mean, you see him degrading. You know, you listen to him, it's a word salad, doesn't make sense, you know, and he rambles constantly, off topic. You hit him with a hard question, and he has to disrespect you. So
he's always been about money, power, those two things. That's it.
Yeah. All right. Melba, is this related to this or the next video?
It's just finishing this and on that topic, but all in all that you've all said about this man, you guys have to bear in mind that he is merely the figurehead for the movement that's behind him. So with his decrease of faculties that we can all bear witness to, not that his faculties were all that great to begin with, but he is the figurehead, right? He is what they prop up there for you to look at, but there's a whole movement behind him that is creating these policies, that are researching and looking for the loopholes and writing it for him to create these executive orders and these bills that are being put up. There are other players that are working the system. And so he is the subject of our ire, and he is the visible one that we're calling responsible for it. He's a benefactor. He's like, I'll say all the craziness. I'll be the distraction while you guys do whatever you want to do as long as you pay me.
He's also a financial benefactor too. Anyway, D.
All right.
Good. Next video.
Yeah, we're gonna get back to policing. Guys, help me out. Just make sure this video gets through. Zoom is doing something a little funky. We're gonna go to Arkansas. The Gateway Police Chief. He was serving a murder and rape sentence, but somehow, some way, he escaped. Let's take a look.
Tonight, an all-out manhunt for a former Benton County police chief. He escaped from a state prison today where he was serving a murder sentence. 4029's Jacob Murphy is live in Benton County tonight, where he is closely monitoring the urgent search.
Video.
Jacob.
Well, Chip, according to the Department of Corrections, Grant Hardin escaped from prison in Northern Arkansas this afternoon. Hardin has some close ties here in Northwest Arkansas.
Let me try to share it another way. It's showing the video, so that's why I didn't know. Let me see if it'll, we'll try something different. Let's try this.
Manhunt for a former Benton County police chief. He escaped from a state prison today where he was serving a murder.
The sound comes in, but it's showing that it's just.
Jacob Murphy is live in Benton County tonight, where he is closely monitoring the urgent search for us. Jacob.
Well, Chip, according to the Department of Corrections, Grant Hardin escaped from a prison in Northern Arkansas this afternoon. Hardin has some close ties here in Northwest Arkansas. He was once the police chief of Gateway, which is right here in Benton County. Hardin is serving a 30-year sentence for first-degree murder. He pled guilty back in 2017. The former police chief was accused of shooting and killing James Appleton in February of 2017. He's also serving an additional sentence for rape. He pled guilty to that charge back in 2019 and was accused of raping a Rogers school teacher in 1997. Today, he escaped from the Central Unit Prison in Calico Rock. The Benton County Sheriff's Office is on high alert tonight with Hardin on the loose. That's because of his strong ties to Benton County. Live in Benton County, Jacob Murphy, 4029 News.
Okay, did it share the second time, guys? Did you see the video?
I need you to hold on, please.
Yeah, we saw the video.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Will.
So
I'll try to call you back in about
he was
5
being
minutes.
held in the same county or a related county to where he was working. That's problem number one. As a police chief, that doesn't seem like normal protocol that you would put him in an environment with people that either he or his officers arrested and took place in prosecuting them. So that's the first problem. But that creates a second problem, the connection with the officials over that incarceration facility and whether or not they were complicit or actually accomplices in his escaping. Because if they were even one person, that entire department, if not that entire county of law enforcement representatives, needs to come under a very significant microscope, because this guy being the police chief and the level of crimes that he was convicted of, I can promise you he ain't still in the area. He is gone. He is somewhere with non-extradition. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. D?
Okay, just really quickly, with policing, this is a bad look because this is at the top. This guy's a police chief. And we wonder why the public looks at us a certain way. And when you have the people at the top, those are the people responsible, you would say, for those of us that have been lower down in the police department. And we're talking about the murder and rape, like the worst crimes you could possibly do as far as investigating. And this is why the public has a distrust. But let me repair a little bit of trust. Understand, this police chief was the head of his department, and he did do these things. But he also was investigated, arrested, sentenced, and put in jail. And those are police officers that had to do that. Probably some police officers that worked below him or under him. If he's the chief, one or two had to be from his department and had to work under him. And they were able to convict him and get him sentences. I just want to look, I like to look at the picture, but I want to look at the whole picture. And where there's lemons, there's some lemonades. We gotta trust in the system. Even though the system goes wrong, at the end of the day, we got to find something in the system that we can trust. And that's what we get behind. And even in the face of these things happening, there's an opportunity to get some positivity out of this. Now, being a police chief, if he wasn't held in protective custody, some people say Punk City. What that is, Jerry's not here, so I'll explain. What that is there a place within a jail. It's the jail within the jail within the jail. What I mean by that is when jail guys do something bad, they go to jail within the jail. Those of you that don't know, come on, Cheech, help me out here. Those of you that don't know, they're going to go to what we call a hole. But there's a place where it's called protective custody, where it's 23 hours lockdown. He's and he gets an hour a day with somebody watching him. So I don't know how he was afforded the opportunity in that position. If he was in that position, and if he wasn't, somebody needs to answer why he wasn't. He's not afforded any time without eyes on him. He's either in the cell or somebody's watching him. He don't go to dinner with nobody. He doesn't go to the bathroom. He don't shower. He don't make phone calls. He is watched 24 hours a day with eyes on him. So how he could escape, that needs to be looked into. And the bigger question with jails, or if you will, incarceration, is there's a problem in there anyway, and that's what needs to be looked at. But I don't want to get so caught up with the police part of it that we forget the bigger picture of you got one correction officer per 100 guys. Somebody else is going to talk to that, probably teacher's going to tell you about that. One officer, 2 sets of eyes, 100 guys. That's what you got. That's what's happening in jail. and we're not giving them enough money. We're not giving them enough places so they can house these people properly. And because you have that, this is going to happen. And that's what happened. I'm done.
Thank you. Cheech?
Yeah, 100% agree with D. That's what I was going to touch on. I don't understand why he was out like that. He was the candidate for PC, protective custody, not by choice. Some go into PC by choice, others don't have a choice. He was a candidate for no choice. Because of his status, because of who he was, he automatically would go PC, would be locked in 23 hours a day. And that 1 hour that he's out is in the rec room only. The original video, we saw him pushing out what appeared to be a laundry cart, and he was in a black uniform. Right away, that tells me he had help, because there's no way you have access to anything other than your jail colors, that you would have access to anything like that with a patch on. So for you to get access to that, you had help. So I'm surprised there haven't been any arrests. I can see arrests coming after, if it's investigated. Hopefully it is being investigated, because there's no way that he should have gotten out that easily and walked out of there.
Kyle, your hand was up.
Yeah, Cheech just rang my bell. I was going to ask Cheech, how is this not an inside job? There's no way in the world of that high profile of an inmate can escape without levels of assistance. I've been to the jail a few times at the county, and so I know how they treated us. And I was in uniform. I was a police officer. I can imagine what they do with the inmates. And there's no way a guy with that. I see if there's some Joe Schmo in the corner who got 16, 18 months left, he escapes. They're not watching his behind. But the police chief with multiple felonies, they got eyes on him 24/7. So I'm telling you right now, I was going to ask Cheech that question. I'm going to be brazen of the thing that I knew. That's why I was going to ask Cheech. But inside job, Cheech?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And why? What's to gain? What does he have?
A great question, Kyle. I see why you're an attorney. I know. I see why you were in charge. You ask really good questions.
Yeah, I understand it. And I know D, you brought up a good point. He was arrested, so it means police did something, that they were supposed to do. The question is, was that an outside agency? Was that an oversight group doing it? And is that those things still in place now?
If you're talking about somebody at that level that's being investigated for those type of crimes, didn't he say first degree homicide and rape?
Rape.
Yeah.
Chances are it's going to be, if they're not federal charges, then it's going to be at least a state agency. Like, for instance, here in North Carolina, it'd be the State Bureau of Investigation.
Yeah.
So while I understand your point, the officers that were involved in that investigation weren't cats that he chews dirt with every day. It was probably a state agency that get involved, because you're not sure how deep that rock goes. Because if you got the guy at the top doing offenses of this level, now I can't say that it was under the color of authority, but the fact that as the chief and you're doing offenses of this level and you are convicted by a jury of your peers, then you got to be concerned about what else is going on within that agency.
I agree. Mark?
Yeah, in response to Kyle's question, this is just an opinion. There's no basis on facts, but in certain places, they still exist the good old boys club, and the Klan still is active. So you never know how deep or how influential this person is. But if something like that is to happen, and it is inside, sometimes we have to kind of stretch our imagination and say, you know what, Klan's got power. I mean, all the way up to a certain office where, they're good fellows too. So just think about it.
Yep. All right. Anybody else have anything to bring in reference to the chief?
Yeah, can we move off chief topics? Thanks.
D, you got any non-chief topics?
Yeah, and then in Hempstead, another chief. No, I'm kidding. Trying to share the videos from a different situation. Maybe they'll share a little better. But we always talk about us and going out and how we behave when we're going out. And this is we had a robbery of an off-duty NYPD officer, and the suspect was caught in Virginia. Let's take a look.
Brutal beating of an off-duty NYPD officer. Good to be with you here at 5. I'm Gilma Avalos.
I'm Adam Cooperstein, and police now arresting one of the two men today in connection to that disturbing attack in the Bronx. There's surveillance video that shows what happened. Here's a look. You see the off-duty officer after he was thrown to the ground, and police say the two masked men there punched him, kicked him, and held a knife to his neck so they could rob him.
That attack happened Saturday at 4 in the morning in Parkchester, and today we got word that U.S. Marshals tracked down one of the two suspects in North Chesterfield, Virginia, just outside of Arlington. News 4's Charles Watson is live at the 45th Precinct in the Bronx with the arrest and who else police are still looking for. Charles?
Yeah, Gilma and Adam, the U.S. Marshals Regional Fugitive Task Force taking 23-year-old Tavion Hargrove into custody this morning in a suburb outside of Richmond, Virginia. Now the search turns to the second unidentified person involved in that brutal attack on an off-duty NYPD officer.
We will find you. We will find you.
Mayor Adams making good on this stern warning to the two suspects responsible for brutally beating an off-duty NYPD officer in the Bronx last weekend. Today, the United States Marshal Service for New York and New Jersey, with the help of NYPD officers, hunting down and arresting a bloody 23-year-old Tavion Hargrove right outside of Richmond in North Chesterfield, Virginia. Hargrove is one of two suspects police say are behind the robbery and assault of a 27-year-old officer at knife point on St. Peter's Avenue on the morning of May 24th. Video shows the two men robbed the officer of his belongings, including his registered firearm. One of the suspects kicking the officer in the face, leaving a shoe imprint and broken bones. A horrifying thought for New Yorkers we speak to.
Nobody should be getting beat up. It's horrifying because, I mean, if an officer is attacked, I mean, clearly they might not know he's an officer, and that really doesn't matter. But what chance does any of the rest of us?
Sources tell News 4 Hargrove was arrested behind a house in North Chesterfield, lying on a mattress in a garage. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch writing in part on X, quote, "I am pleased to report Tavion Hargrove is now in the handcuffs of the officer he assaulted," later adding, "one under, one to go." Hargrove's father also under arrest and facing charges for allegedly trying to use the officer's stolen credit card. However, the father is not suspected of being involved in the assault and robbery. Neighbors saying they hope everyone involved pays.
I think that's great that they got at least one of them. I hope to get all of them.
Yeah, and so at this junction, police are trying to identify and track down the second person involved in the assault and robbery. The NYPD asking anyone with tips to call its Crime Stoppers hotline and tell them what you know. For now, we're live in Throgs Neck. Charles Watson, News.
Yeah, Cheech and then Jim.
Yeah, I just want to update that second suspect was caught earlier today.
Yeah. In Virginia also?
I'm not sure if it was, I'm trying to find it. It was on, I saw it earlier, but it looked like he was wearing a wig when he got caught, trying to look like a female. If I find it, I'll put it up.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I'd hate to say that he was a lucky man, but they did take his gun, right?
Yeah.
And if they took his gun and he didn't get shot and killed with his gun, that's a miracle in and of itself. And the suspect, they're pretty lucky too that they're alive. So I guess I know it sounds crazy, but everybody lived through this, which is a miracle in itself.
Not wrong, just it's good as it's done safely.
Correct.
Anybody else have anything to add?
You know, I was wondering how they found him, but now the way the father used a credit card, and that's how they got to him.
You'd be surprised to tell. Well, you wouldn't, but it's surprising how many people tell what's going on, how much they talk.
So when just to answer your
can I say
question, Rich, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt anybody. Rich,
Yes.
yeah, I didn't want to just being a part of the regional task force. When those guys, when the unit hears something like that, they go into immediately track mode. The moment you might hear it come over the radio, if somebody's watching the news and tracking phones, they do a number of things. That's their job. They just track you. They'll track you from one place to another. So some of the methods that they employ are off air. I'll tell you some of them. It's phenomenal. I used to say, if anything happens to me, I'm gonna give you 10 regional guys. They're gonna find them. They're gonna find them. And being a part of that team, you don't sleep. One guy sleeps, one guy drives. I don't know if you guys remember 6 college students that were killed in Jersey. 3 of them were killed in Jersey, and the 2 girls were raped back in 2008. And I was a part of that team, and we jumped in the van. One guy drove, the other slept till we got to the next place. One guy is on a computer in the back. It's just a phenomenal, and for a minute, I'm going to sing their praises, a phenomenal unit. They will find you. It's amazing what that unit does. They will find you. If it's the littlest piece of information, that's what they do. They track. They're a bunch of bloodhounds, human bloodhounds. That's all I wanted to say when you asked.
Jim, you had something?
Yeah, I just to bring this into gun control just for a second. I swear I won't go into a big long thing on it, but here's an example of people that think because they are armed that they, that's going to protect them from being mugged. Well, here's an off-duty cop that was mugged and lost his gun. Luckily, didn't lose his life. So for everybody out there that believes, well, I got my carry permit, I'm going to be safe. Wrong. You're not going to be safe because you have a gun. You're going to probably be mugged. If you're going to be mugged, you're going to lose your gun and hopefully not your life. That's what.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything else to bring?
Yeah, that second subject was arrested in Virginia also.
Okay.
And also the first one that was arrested, his father was also arrested for using the officer's stolen credit cards.
Yeah, that's why I said that's how they got him. But then D added the extra information. So, once that car was used, they had to grab him, and then he had to give his son up, I'm sure. That's where he got the card from.
Well, all right. Well, we got time for another one, D.
Yes, we do. Thank you. And I want to thank you, Jim, because I was going to share this one before you said what you said. Talking about gun control. Memorial Day, there was a shooting, a deadly shooting in Philadelphia. It was a mass shooting on Memorial Day. Let's take that in for a minute. Probably one of the most, if not the most sacred day of the year. We still had a shooting. Let's take a look.
Philadelphia tragedy unfolded last night after 2 people were killed and another 9 were injured in a shooting near Lemon Hill. Here's coverage from CBS News Philadelphia earlier.
Good afternoon, Jim. And you mentioned it, a defiant Mayor Sherelle Parker, as she and other city leaders just gave us an update on this mass shooting in Fairmount Park that happened last night. That press conference wrapping up just about 15 minutes ago, so we want to get right into what we know as of now. Police say this shooting happened right around 10:30 last night. Commissioner Kevin Bethel said somewhere in the range of several hundred people had gathered in that area. Now, a few hours before, at around 2:15, Bethel says they received a call from Park Police police and from some neighbors in the area at around 8:15, asking officers to come help clear people out. So officers were up there doing that work, trying to get people out. But he said there were a lot of people, there were a lot of vehicles. It was a slow process. Those officers, Bethel says, were about 100 feet away from where that shooting took place at about 10:30 and rushed into that scene. Now, again, as you mentioned, we know at this point 2 people were killed in that shooting, 9 others injured. Those victims ranged in age from 15 years old to 27 years old. And as you said, police at this point believe they are looking for 3 different shooters. Unsure on that number right now, but 3 different casings from different guns were found at that scene. 21 casings found in all at this point. But Mayor Parker, other city leaders, very defiant this morning, saying the city will not tolerate these acts. Take a listen.
I don't want anyone to tell me that what occurred in a place and space where families gather on a regular basis to fellowship, people in neighborhoods gather. We will not be held hostage.
We are not going to concede Lemon Hill. We're not going to concede Belmont Plateau. We are going to fight to keep that safe space for the citizens of Philadelphia.
Now, again, at this point, this remains a very active investigation. A lot police are still sifting through right now. At this point, police could not say if this was a targeted attack or some sort of random act of violence that happened in this large crowd. But several officials, both police and city officials, mentioned those switches. They turn a semi-automatic handgun into a fully automatic handgun. Can be very dangerous in a situation with a lot of people there. Police say that is what they saw last night. But again, they believe at this point that they are looking for at least 3 separate shooters in this investigation. No details on the suspects they are looking for. I also reached out to the ATF. They did confirm they are assisting PPD in this investigation. For now, live at City Hall, Dan Snyder. Jim, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, that does really open the door for another gun control conversation. But, I put in the chat there, if you saw it, I mean, this big, beautiful bill by President Taco, in that bill, silences will no longer be regulated. Mm-hmm. This bill contains a lot of stuff that goes beyond finances and taxes. There were things put in there like this on gun control. Can you imagine? Silencers. You can go in the store and buy a silencer. It doesn't have to be registered. You don't need any kind of regulation for it. That's in this bill. That has a good chance of passing, by the way.
Anything else, anyone?
Yeah, I want to say something really quick because we're throwing out terms, and we do have members of the civilian population watching. They talk about switches. I don't want to go into too much detail because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. But there's a device that you can take a semi-automatic pistol, add a switch to it, and it becomes a fully automatic pistol. What that means is, under normal circumstances, there's a number of rounds that can come out of a gun, but with this switch, it'll probably triple that just by one pull of the trigger. We've also heard terms like bump stocks, and those are for shoulder weapons. Same thing, same idea, a little different part of the weapon, but same idea. Jim just said something about silencers. It's a suppressor is a better name for it. It allows you to fire a gun and you not hear the loud bang, the deafening bang that it makes. So all of those things are now being, from what I'm understanding, is deregulated. So as much as the gun itself is being deregulated, these parts make it just that much dangerous. What I mean is multiply the danger by like 5 for each one of these things. And that's what you have. You had a group of people out here this day trying to have a Memorial Day celebration, and somebody opened up. In a short period of time, 2 people died, 9 injured. with one of these modified weapons, you could do a lot more damage than that in a short period of time. Seconds. You can mow down 20 or 30 people in seconds. So I just wanted to make that clear because we throw the terms out, and I just want people to understand exactly what we're talking about. Go ahead, AC.
Thank you. You have anything else to add? No? Mark?
Yeah. You know, anybody who's in favor of, you know, these parts that make these automatic weapons fully automatic, you obviously don't have the children in these school shootings in mind. You know, you give these upgraded weapons to these people who already have issues, they take out a whole school. And it's you know, he has no concern about our kids, and that's a shame. And the people that are voting, they need to realize that. Wake up and realize that. You know, your job may be in jeopardy, but guess what? A whole lot more lives are in jeopardy if you pass this bill. That's it.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? In reference to this, Philly? Well, if you can, get you another one.
Yeah, I think Ty had his hand up. You had your hand up, Ty? Oh, okay. I thought I saw your hand up. Okay, let's hit this next video.
I was thinking we had time for one more video. That was like one more video. AC knew. AC was my point guard. He knew what I wanted.
Okay, let's take a look at this. Everything's acting up today. We had an exchange of gunfire with a state police officer where there was an elderly man that ended up getting shot. Just a video just to show you just how quick these things jump off. Let's take a look.
Hello, sir. I'm also very much assistant police. We give a stop, sir. Is a registered owner of this vehicle probably has a warrant. Have you bought this from anyone recently? Do you have a driver's license on you then? Are you from Arizona at all? Long never ever? Do you have the registration and insurance for the vehicle? No weapons or anything on you right now? Alright, if you can't find it, can you just step out for me and we're gonna walk back to my unit, alright? Alright, if you can't find it, just walk back to me Shots fired, shots fired, shots fired. I had him pulling a gun on me. I need assistant, please. He's taking off right now.
We have sharp fire.
He's going up a Highwinds Road up to a property. He's shooting back. Shots fired, shots fired. He's shooting. Put your hands up!
So, Motor 9, were you directed that last shooting, sir?
He's down on the ground. Possibly hit.
10-4 direct, male down, possibly hit.
Put your hands up! Let me see your hands! Firearm is possibly in his left hand.
That's it.
Wow.
Anybody have anything to add? Oh, D, I'm sorry, I couldn't see your hand in it.
Yeah, just really quickly.
Your hand blends in with the background.
Yeah, this is a video to show you just how quickly things happen. And it kind of depicted the way things are kind of supposed to take place when you got a shooting. You always ask, well, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? Just remember that trooper has to address that person until the danger stops, which unfortunately ended up, it looks like when he lost his life. It was two separate incidences that this person did shoot at him. Again, not knowing if he was going through a mental or whatever the case may be. But all of that's off the table when the shots are fired. I just want people to understand that. It said elderly man, older gentleman. He might be going through certain health issues. But when the shooting starts, all bets are off. We have to neutralize the threat. And then we go from there. Just an example to show you how really quick everything was fine up until the guy started shooting. Simple traffic stop, ask for the information, and when the shooting starts, all bets are off. And just one more thing I wanted to say. That's the life of a police officer. You're going nice, quiet. It's 7 hours and 55 minutes. And everything is quiet and we're smiling. We're thinking about the dinner we're going to have. and then you're in the middle of a life-changing situation.
My.
A life-changing.
Hours of boredom, seconds of terror.
That's what it is. So
hours of boredom, seconds of terror.
Yep. Just understand what police officers go through. It's like that in your mind now after 32 years, 8 hours, I'm waiting for that 5 minutes. I'm waiting for that 30 seconds. What'd you say, Ty? I'm waiting for that 30 seconds all 8 hours. That's the way we live our lives. And I approach things through understanding. I want people to understand. That's why those tactics. He was standing in a position. I was going, whoa, tactics, baby. He stood in a position. We're standing in a position where you cannot shoot us. Is all the shooting you want to do? Fine. You're going to shoot that car up, but you're not going to shoot me up. All those little things that you think make you uncomfortable, and us being what you think idiots, they have safety in mind. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Will?
For anyone that might think that the reason why, because my first thought is, why would the guy stop? But as an officer, my thought being, after what just happened, if he stopped and he's that far ahead of me, his purpose is only to re-engage me. And the officer gave him an opportunity by giving him commands to comply, which he didn't, which further lets me know that he intends to re-engage me. And I say that in regards to the fact our listeners and watchers may not realize, but I think all of us distinctively know the sounds of the firearm that was being fired by the officer. Yeah, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that was definitely an AR. And you're looking at the distance that he parked away from the suspect vehicle from the standpoint of his safety, the ability to be able to pull out that firearm. Now, the fact that he had an AR at his disposal once upon a time wasn't something that we could take for granted. I worked for a department where we had an active shooter with, I think it was a 306 or 308 hunting style rifle. So he can reach out and touch you from distance. And all the officers that got to the scene before he was taken into custody were returning fire with 9mm handguns. And it just so happened, by the grace of God, that a round struck him in the lower part of his body that took him down to the ground, and he had difficulty reloading. But I say that to say this, like you all said, 7 hours and 55 minutes of boredom, and the last few, everything hits the fan. I am thankful that that officer wasn't hurt like anybody else. I hate the fact that this gentleman lost his life, especially if this was something that maybe some help could have, if we're talking about a mental unwellness thing. But as someone mentioned a second ago, I think it was you, D, once the shooting starts or once the threat starts, we don't have a different playbook that we choose from. We neutralize the threat, then we revert back to whatever playbook is available to us.
Mark?
Yeah, so we unfortunately find a lot of times with police departments that we're not so proactive, we're reactive. And those weapons became available. I don't know if everybody remembers, but back in California, I forget what year it was, where they did that bank robbery.
Yeah.
They were heavily armed, bulletproof vests, and cops with, handguns bullets were just bouncing off of them. And it was, finally, they were able to bring the guys down. But, that showed the need for police to now have better weapons, because the bad guys have better weapons. So, it's hard to be proactive because you just never know what's going on. But more research needs to be done with police departments, because like I said, we're sitting ducks when we just sit back and be reactive as opposed to proactive.
Okay, thank you. D, if you could, when you go, can you give us some, I don't know what you got,
I got you.
Whatever you have scheduled for us?
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Then,
really quick, I just want to say something reference to what Mark said. The police officers in that LA shooting had to actually break into a gun store in order to equalize the threat. They were creative in what they did. They actually had to go get weapons because their weapons were useless. They were big paperweights. I just wanted to bring that up. Mark said that. I remembered they actually broke into a firearm store and just started loading up whatever they could find to address that threat. I just wanted to bring that up. Now, lately we have not had a chance to do our segment, the Crockett Pocket. So I want to do a segment of our unofficial member of the roll call team, Jasmine Crockett.
Elon Musk is having a massive meltdown over Jasmine Crockett, and I can honestly see why.
When you bring up the idiot known as Elon Musk, he is not only like very sinister and has no idea what he's doing, and people are like, oh no, he absolutely knows, because he's the richest man in the world. Like, yes, he knows how to hire smart people, but don't conflate that and believe that he is the genius, because he ain't. He has inflicted so much harm and done so much that even Trump don't want to talk about it. When the last time you heard about Elon?
Not much. You don't see him that much.
No. We ain't
you
been
think
hearing
Trump
about him.
is distancing himself from Elon
Yeah,
Musk?
because as soon as people started to look at his ratings, so now they're like, oh, get rid of Elon. But let me tell you, the stench ain't getting off of you, Trump. Honey, you are a problem. He is a problem. Pete is a problem. All of y'all a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Donald?
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Thank you guys so much. I was trying to take care of some other business as well, but as usual, there's always somebody here that could fill in and keep this show going. I want to thank AC and D. I want to thank you guys, Will, Jim, Rich, Mark, Melba, Cheech, Ty, and Kyle. I came back and Kyle was in full motion, y'all. I was like, "What y'all do? Someone put a new battery into Kyle?" But thank you for your input, Kyle. You on mute. I know you just said something to me too, but you on mute. But thank you so much. Are you just getting back from your trip? Not yet. It's coming.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Your run. Well, thank you anyway. Thank you guys for joining us. We had a good show. Thank you for those who are on Facebook Live. We thank you for that as well. And thank you for the guys on the panel. You know what I'm talking about for the discipline that we displayed on purpose. And thank you. And then we had Kyle to remind us too, so that helps a little bit too, because you can always slip back into it. But again, thank you guys so much. Again, anniversary's coming up. Jim, happy anniversary to Jim and Joan. Today, AC, happy retirement anniversary. Mark, for you tomorrow, happy retirement anniversary. And I guess we'll get to myself and Tyrone next week, because mine is on next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, and the next Thursday is Tyrone's birthday. We're gonna celebrate Tyrone. Amen. Anybody else have anything else? Let us know, and we'll try to post that. Rich, you got something?
Yeah, I just want to say, I just have a minute. The picture behind me is my Uncle Henry. He was the first Black Marine killed from the city of New York in the first battle of Vietnam, Operation Starlight, August 18th, 1965. He made the ultimate sacrifice when he landed into a hot LZ landing zone and they were taking fire. So he was fragmented at that point, 20 years old, and he gave his life to the country.
Wow.
First Black from New York. He was recognized by the governor. It was front page news, because only 18 guys died in that first battle, and he was one of the 18. So I just want to, Henry Crawley Jordan, my uncle, I remember him every year, Memorial Day, I honor him. You got to honor the fallen. I mean, for everybody who's lost loved ones, who gave that ultimate sacrifice, killed in action. Thank you.
Absolutely. And we're praying for the family, and we thank him for his service. I believe that is it. We'll be back next week if the Lord say the same. I'll be like D next week. I'll be in another location, but I'll be on next week. So thank you guys so much for everything. If we don't have anything else, let us pray. Let us pray. God our Father, we thank you again for this show. We thank you to God that next week will be 5 years that we've been on the air. We thank you for 5 years. We thank you for those who have joined us, those with the same ideology that we have and the same thoughts about law enforcement, and even with politics. We thank you right now for every person in the sound of my voice, every home is represented. We continue to pray for our good friend JT, his wife Orlando. We continue to pray for Dave and his family. We continue to pray for everyone on this panel. And now, God, as we depart from this place, now for your presence, continue to be with us. And we pray for those who are on Facebook Live. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thank you guys so much.